What if everything you think you know about Earth is wrong? What if beneath the frozen wasteland of Antarctica lies evidence that could completely rewrite human history, challenge our understanding of physics, and reveal secrets that governments have been desperately trying to hide? Right now, in 2025, something extraordinary is happening at the bottom of our world. Scientists are making discoveries so shocking, so impossible, that they're forcing us to question the very foundations of reality itself. We're talking about ancient landscapes older than human civilization, mysterious radio signals that defy the laws of physics, and ecosystems thriving in places where life shouldn't even exist. But here's the thing that should terrify you. For decades, Antarctica has been off-limits to ordinary people. Protected by international treaties, guarded by military operations, and shrouded in scientific secrecy, this continent has remained one of the most forbidden places on Earth. Why? What are they so desperate to keep hidden? I'm about to take you on a journey into the heart of Antarctica's deepest secrets. By the end of this investigation, you will understand why this frozen continent isn't just another landmass covered in ice. It's a time capsule, a geological archive, and possibly the key to understanding who we really are and where we came from. But I have to warn you, once you see what's really happening down there, you'll never look at our planet the same way again. Let me start with something that happened just months ago that should have made international headlines but was quietly buried in scientific journals. In January 2025, researchers drilling through the East Antarctic ice sheet achieved something that sounds like science fiction. They successfully extracted a 2,800-meter-long ice core containing ice that's over 1.2 million years old. Think about that for a moment. This ice formed when our earliest human ancestors were just beginning to walk upright, when the world was a completely different place. But here's where it gets interesting. This isn't just old ice we're talking about. It's a pristine record of Earth's ancient atmosphere, locked away in frozen time. Every bubble of air trapped in this ice is like a message from a world that existed hundreds of thousands of years before recorded history. And what scientists are finding in these samples is challenging everything we thought we knew about Earth's climate, its history, and its capacity to support life. The European Beyond Epica project, working at a site called Little Dome C, didn't just stumble upon this discovery. They've been systematically drilling deeper and deeper into Antarctica's ice, following a plan that suggests they know exactly what they're looking for. The question is, what are they expecting to find in ice that's even older? What secrets could be locked in layers that date back millions of years? While this historical excavation was taking place, something even more bizarre was happening on the opposite side of the continent. Spanish researchers aboard the RV Sarmiento de Gamboa were cruising Antarctic waters when they witnessed something that shouldn't exist. Massive columns of methane were erupting from the Antarctic seabed, shooting up through thousands of feet of water like underwater geysers. Now, methane emissions from the ocean floor aren't unheard of, but the scale and intensity of what they observed was unprecedented. These weren't small leaks or gradual seepages. These were violent, sustained eruptions of gas that had been locked beneath the Antarctic seafloor for who knows how long. The implications are staggering. If the Antarctic seabed is releasing massive quantities of methane, what triggered this sudden change? And more importantly, what else might be down there, waiting to be released? But the methane eruptions are just the beginning. As these researchers continued their month-long mission, they documented phenomenon after phenomenon that defied conventional understanding of Antarctic geology. The seafloor itself seemed to be alive, active, responding to forces that science can't fully explain. This brings us to one of the most disturbing discoveries of recent years. Something so strange that it's been quietly discussed in physics circles but kept away from mainstream media. For over a decade, scientists operating the Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna, known as ANITA, have been detecting radio signals coming from beneath the ice that shouldn't be possible. These aren't normal radio waves. They're appearing to originate from deep underground, passing through thousands of miles of solid rock to reach the surface. According to our current understanding of physics, this is impossible. Radio waves simply cannot travel through that much dense material and emerge with the strength and clarity that Anita has been detecting. The signals are coming from angles around 30 degrees below Antarctica's surface. Think about what this means. For a radio wave to reach the Anita detector at this angle, it would have to pass through the entire Earth, emerging on the opposite side of the planet with enough power to be clearly detected. The energy required for this would be astronomical, and no known natural phenomenon can explain it. Scientists have ruled out neutrinos, cosmic rays, and every other conventional explanation they can think of. The Anita researchers have officially classified these signals as anomalous, which in scientific terms is about as close as you get to saying, "We have no idea what this is, but it's definitely not normal." Some physicists are starting to whisper about possibilities that sound like science fiction. Could these signals be evidence of unknown particles? Perhaps even dark matter interactions happening deep within the Earth? Could they indicate technology or processes operating beneath Antarctica that we don't understand? Or could they be something else entirely, something that challenges our basic assumptions about how the universe works? The timing of these discoveries is particularly unsettling. Just as we're detecting impossible radio signals from beneath the ice, just as methane is erupting from the seafloor, just as we're drilling deeper into Antarctica's ancient history than ever before, the continent itself is behaving in ways that contradict all our climate models. NASA satellite data from 2025 shows something that climate scientists are struggling to explain. Despite rising global temperatures, despite decades of ice loss, Antarctica has suddenly started gaining ice mass. Between 2021 and 2023, the continent gained an average of 119 billion tons of ice per year. This directly contradicts the sustained ice loss that was documented from 2002 to 2020, when Antarctica was losing ice at an accelerating rate. This isn't a gradual change or a minor fluctuation. This is an abrupt reversal that defies every climate model and prediction. Something fundamental has changed in Antarctica's behavior, and scientists are scrambling to understand what could cause such a dramatic shift. The official explanation is that this is a temporary anomaly, a brief pause in the overall warming trend. But what if it's not? What if Antarctica is responding to forces that we don't understand? Forces that might be connected to the mysterious radio signals, the methane eruptions, and the ancient secrets locked in million-year-old ice. As we dig deeper into Antarctica's mysteries, we discover that the continent's strange behavior in 2025 is just the latest chapter in a story that stretches back millions of years. Hidden beneath miles of ice lies evidence of a world so different from today that it challenges our understanding of Earth's history. Recent discoveries have revealed the remains of ancient river systems that once flowed across East Antarctica. Not small streams or seasonal waterways, but major river networks that carved landscapes across a continent that's now buried under ice sheets thousands of feet thick. These weren't brief geological anomalies. These river systems operated for millions of years, shaping terrain that has been preserved in pristine condition beneath the ice. The implications are staggering. If East Antarctica once supported flowing rivers, it means the continent experienced temperatures and climate conditions radically different from today. It means that vast areas now covered by ice were once exposed land, possibly supporting ecosystems and life forms that we can barely imagine. But here's what makes this discovery truly unsettling. The landscapes hidden beneath the ice are described by researchers as remarkably flat surfaces that appear almost everywhere they look. This level of uniformity across such a vast area is unprecedented in natural geology. Most landscapes show evidence of varied erosion patterns, different rock types, and irregular formations shaped by diverse geological processes over time. The flatness and uniformity of these hidden landscapes suggests something else entirely. They suggest processes or events that acted across the entire continent simultaneously. shaping the terrain in ways that normal geological forces cannot explain. What could create such uniform landscapes across an area the size of the United States and Mexico combined? The answer might lie in discoveries made deep beneath the West Antarctic ice sheet, in places with names that sound like something from a science fiction novel. Lake Vostok, Lake Mercer, Lake Enigma. These aren't ordinary lakes. They're bodies of liquid water that have been sealed beneath miles of ice for millions of years, cut off from the surface world since long before human civilization existed. Lake Vostok alone contains as much water as Lake Ontario, sitting nearly 4,000 meters beneath the surface, cradled on a bed of sediments 70 meters thick. The water in this lake has been isolated for an estimated 15 million years, creating what might be the most pristine environment on Earth. A window into ancient ecosystems that existed when our planet was fundamentally different. But when scientists finally managed to access samples from these hidden lakes, they discovered something that changed everything. The lakes aren't empty. They're teeming with life, bacterial communities that have evolved in complete isolation, developing survival strategies that shouldn't be possible in such extreme conditions. Some of these organisms, like the Potassibacteria found in Lake Enigma, had never been discovered anywhere else on Earth, and don't follow the normal rules of bacterial survival. These discoveries raise questions that go far beyond simple biology. If complex life can thrive in such extreme isolation, what else might be surviving in the hidden depths of Antarctica? What other ecosystems might exist in places we haven't even begun to explore? The more we learn about Antarctica's hidden world, the more it becomes clear that this continent isn't just a frozen wasteland at the bottom of the world. It's an entire parallel ecosystem, a preserved archive of Earth's ancient history, and possibly something much more significant than we've ever imagined. The evidence becomes even more compelling when we examine what's happening above ground. Throughout 2025, research teams have been witnessing phenomena that seem to defy the natural order of Antarctic life. In January, an iceberg the size of Chicago broke away from the George VI ice shelf, but what researchers found beneath it was nothing short of extraordinary. Using remotely operated vehicles, scientists descended, apparently 300 meters, into the pitch-black depths beneath the floating ice shelf. What they discovered shouldn't exist. Thriving coral reefs, massive sponge formations, and an entire ecosystem of marine life, flourishing in conditions that should be completely hostile to complex organisms. We're talking about an environment with no sunlight, crushing pressure, and temperatures that hover just above freezing. Yet life wasn't just surviving down there, it was thriving. Among the creatures they filmed was the glacial glass squid, a species so elusive that this was the first confirmed footage ever captured. But the glass squid wasn't alone. The seafloor was crawling with species that the research team suspects are completely new to science. Organisms that have evolved in isolation beneath Antarctica's ice shelves, developing characteristics and survival mechanisms that challenge our understanding of what life can endure. This discovery fundamentally changes how we think about life on Earth. If complex ecosystems can flourish in the crushing depths beneath Antarctic ice, what does that tell us about the potential for life in other extreme environments? What does it suggest about the possibility of life existing in places we've never thought to look? But the biological discoveries are just one piece of a much larger puzzle. As research teams continue to explore Antarctica's hidden depths, they're uncovering geological features that seem to follow patterns too precise, too intentional to be purely natural. Deep within the Ellsworth Mountains, satellite imagery has revealed pyramid-shaped peaks that have captured the attention of researchers worldwide. These aren't your typical mountain formations. They display 4 steep, symmetrical sides that create almost perfect triangular faces, reminiscent of the Great Pyramids of ancient civilizations. The precision of these formations is remarkable, with angles and proportions that seem to follow mathematical principles rather than random geological processes. While mainstream science explains these formations as the result of natural erosion over millions of years, the mathematical precision raises uncomfortable questions. Natural erosion typically creates irregular patterns, varied weathering, and asymmetrical formations. Yet these Antarctic pyramids display a level of geometric perfection that's extremely rare in nature. What makes these formations even more intriguing is their distribution across the landscape. They're not isolated anomalies scattered randomly across the continent. They appear in clusters, following patterns that suggest underlying structural principles. Some researchers have noted that the spacing and orientation of these pyramid-shaped peaks seem to correspond to geometric relationships found in ancient architectural sites around the world. The official explanation focuses on freeze-thaw weathering cycles, where water seeps into cracks, freezes, expands, and gradually shapes the rock into angular formations. But this explanation struggles to account for the mathematical precision and the consistent orientation patterns observed across multiple sites. It's as if some underlying template guided the formation of these structures, imposing order on what should be random geological processes. This pattern of unexplained precision extends beyond individual mountain formations. Recent magnetic surveys of Antarctica have revealed subsurface anomalies that follow geometric patterns across vast areas of the continent. These aren't random mineral deposits or typical geological variations. They're organized structures that suggest large-scale architectural planning beneath the ice. The Antarctic Digital Magnetic Anomaly Project has compiled over 3.5 million line kilometers of survey data, creating the most detailed picture ever assembled of Antarctica's hidden subsurface. What they found challenges conventional geological understanding. The magnetic anomalies don't follow the random patterns you'd expect from natural mineral deposits or volcanic activity. Instead, they form geometric networks that extend for hundreds of kilometers beneath the ice. These subsurface structures appear to be organized around specific focal points, creating what researchers describe as a continental-scale grid pattern. The precision and scope of this organization is unprecedented in natural geology. It suggests the presence of massive structures or formations that operate according to principles we don't understand. The magnetic anomalies are particularly intense in areas that correspond to the surface locations of the pyramid-shaped peaks. This correlation between surface geometry and subsurface magnetic organization suggests that what we're seeing above the ice might be connected to much larger structures hidden beneath Antarctica's frozen surface. Adding to this mystery is the discovery of massive volcanic networks beneath the West Antarctic ice sheet. In 2017, researchers identified close to 140 subglacial volcanoes, with 91 of them previously unknown to science. Some of these buried volcanoes reach heights of over 12,000 feet, creating mountain ranges that rival the Alps or the Rockies, all hidden beneath miles of ice. But the distribution of these volcanic systems follows patterns that don't match typical geological formation processes. They're organized along rift systems that extend in straight lines for hundreds of kilometers, creating geometric networks that suggest coordinated geological activity rather than random volcanic emergence. The volcanic activity beneath Antarctica isn't dormant history. These systems are actively generating heat that maintains liquid water networks throughout the continent. The geothermal energy they produce creates a hidden world of subglacial rivers and lakes that flow beneath the ice like a parallel hydrological system. This underground water network is vast, containing an estimated 10,000 cubic kilometers of liquid fresh water, representing about 15% of all liquid freshwater on Earth. But this isn't just a collection of isolated lakes. It's an interconnected system of rivers, streams, and water bodies that flow according to patterns that mirror surface river systems, despite being completely cut off from surface influences. The precision with which this subglacial water system operates suggests engineering principles that go far beyond random geological processes. The water flows follow optimal paths, creating efficient transportation networks that connect distant regions of the continent. The system maintains consistent temperatures and flow rates across thousands of kilometers, despite varying geological conditions and ice thickness. What's particularly unsettling is how this hidden water system responds to external influences. Recent monitoring has detected coordinated changes in flow patterns across the entire network, as if the system is responding to signals or forces that operate on a continental scale. Changes in one part of the network trigger corresponding adjustments hundreds of kilometers away, suggesting a level of systematic coordination that challenges our understanding of natural hydrological processes. This coordinated behavior becomes even more mysterious when we consider the timing of these changes. The systematic adjustments in Antarctica's subglacial water network began occurring at the same time as the anomalous radio signals were first detected. The methane eruptions from the seafloor started shortly after significant changes were observed in the underground river systems. The sudden reversal in ice mass loss began as the subglacial network started exhibiting unprecedented levels of coordinated activity. The correlation between these different phenomena suggests they might all be connected to a single underlying cause, something that operates on a scale and according to principles that current science cannot explain. We're not looking at isolated anomalies scattered across Antarctica. We're looking at evidence of systematic, coordinated changes that affect the entire continent simultaneously. The pieces of this puzzle become even more disturbing when we examine the historical record of Antarctica's transformation. The continent hasn't always been the frozen wasteland we know today. As recently as 15 to 20 million years ago, Antarctica's coastal regions experienced summer temperatures that were 20 degrees Fahrenheit warmer than current conditions, supporting ecosystems that resembled modern-day southern South America. But the transformation from temperate continent to frozen wasteland wasn't gradual. Geological evidence suggests that Antarctica's climate underwent rapid, dramatic changes that occurred over periods far shorter than normal climate transitions. The continent shifted from supporting complex ecosystems to being completely ice-covered in timeframes that challenge conventional understanding of climate change mechanisms. What could cause such rapid, comprehensive changes across an entire continent? Normal climate processes operate over hundreds of thousands or millions of years. They don't create the kind of sudden, systematic transformations that Antarctica experienced. The speed and completeness of these changes suggest external influences or triggering events that go beyond typical geological or atmospheric processes. The answer might lie in discoveries that governments and research institutions have been remarkably reluctant to discuss publicly. Evidence suggests that Antarctica's rapid transformation might be connected to the same forces that are causing today's anomalous radio signals, coordinated geological activity, and systematic behavioral changes across the continent. As we delve deeper into this web of interconnected mysteries, we encounter evidence that suggests Antarctica's secrets extend far beyond anything we've discussed so far. The continent's behavior in 2025 isn't just anomalous, it's systematic, as if responding to a coordinated set of instructions that we're only beginning to detect. Consider what happened during the Brazilian Antarctic circumnavigation expedition that concluded in January 2025. This wasn't a routine research mission. The team covered 29,000 kilometers over 3 months, following a route that took them to locations most researchers never visit. What they documented during this journey has been largely kept from public view, but fragments of their findings paint a picture of a continent undergoing changes that operate according to patterns we don't understand. The expedition team reported observing synchronized activities across vast distances, ice formations that seem to respond to each other despite being separated by hundreds of kilometers, atmospheric phenomena that appear to follow predetermined sequences, creating displays of light and electromagnetic activity that don't match any known weather patterns. Most disturbing of all, they documented what appeared to be coordinated responses from Antarctica's wildlife, as if the entire ecosystem was responding to signals that human instruments couldn't detect. These observations become even more significant when we examine the technological challenges researchers face when operating in Antarctica. The continent doesn't just resist human presence through harsh weather and extreme cold. Electronic equipment fails in ways that don't match normal environmental stress patterns. Communication systems experience interference that follows rhythmic cycles rather than random atmospheric disturbance. Navigation instruments register readings that suggest magnetic anomalies operating according to organized rather than chaotic principles. The most unsettling reports come from researchers who've spent extended periods on the continent. They describe experiences that sound like something from a psychological thriller. Synchronized dreams among team members who shouldn't have any way to influence each other's subconscious experiences. Shared sensations of being observed or monitored by presences that no equipment can detect. Collective experiences of time distortion, where entire research teams lose hours or even days with no clear memory of what occurred during those periods. These aren't isolated incidents involving single individuals who might be suffering from isolation-induced psychological stress. These are documented experiences involving multiple researchers, often from different institutions and countries, who have no prior contact with each other, yet report remarkably similar phenomena. The consistency of these reports across different expeditions and time periods suggests something more than psychological effects of extreme environment exposure. The official response to these reports has been telling. Rather than investigating these phenomena as potential scientific anomalies worthy of study, research institutions have quietly reassigned personnel who report such experiences. The incidents are classified as stress-related psychological episodes and removed from official expedition records. The message is clear. Researchers who want to continue working in Antarctica learn not to discuss certain types of observations. This pattern of institutional suppression becomes more understandable when we examine the military and governmental presence that surrounds Antarctic research. Operation Deep Freeze, officially described as logistical support for scientific research, maintains a level of security and operational secrecy that seems disproportionate to its stated mission. Approximately 150 American military personnel operate in Antarctica at any given time, but their activities extend far beyond simple transportation and maintenance support. Military operations in Antarctica include advanced surveillance systems that monitor not just weather and ice conditions, but electromagnetic activity, seismic events, and atmospheric phenomena that have no clear connection to supporting scientific research. These monitoring stations are positioned at locations that correspond to the magnetic anomalies we discussed earlier, suggesting that military operations are specifically focused on the same mysterious subsurface structures that are puzzling civilian researchers. The Antarctic Treaty of 1959, which officially designates the continent for peaceful scientific research only, contains provisions that are rarely discussed publicly. Hidden within the technical language are clauses that allow for the classification of research findings that might affect international security or global stability. These provisions create legal frameworks for suppressing discoveries that might challenge established scientific, political, or economic systems. What kind of discoveries would require such extreme levels of secrecy? What could Antarctica contain that would threaten global stability if it became public knowledge? The answer might lie in evidence that suggests the continent's mysterious phenomena aren't natural at all, but represent technology or processes that operate according to principles beyond current human understanding. Recent analysis of the anomalous radio signals detected by ANITA has revealed patterns that don't match any known natural phenomena. The signals aren't random or chaotic, as you'd expect from geological or atmospheric processes. Instead, they follow mathematical sequences that suggest organized information transmission. The signals appear to be carrying data, encoded in formats that our technology can detect but cannot decode. Even more disturbing, the signal patterns have been evolving over time. The early detections from over a decade ago were simpler, more basic in structure. Recent signals show increasing complexity and sophistication, as if whatever is generating them is learning, adapting, and becoming more efficient at transmitting information through thousands of miles of solid rock. Computer analysis of these signal patterns has identified recurring mathematical relationships that appear in advanced physics and engineering applications. The sequences include prime number series, geometric progressions, and frequency relationships that are used in human technology for data compression and error correction. The implication is that whatever is generating these signals understands mathematical and engineering principles that parallel or exceed human technological capability. This technological sophistication becomes even more apparent when we examine the coordination between different Antarctic phenomena. The timing of methane eruptions from the seafloor corresponds to specific patterns in the radio signal transmissions. Changes in the subglacial water flow networks occur in synchronization with electromagnetic anomalies detected by satellite monitoring systems. The volcanic activity beneath the ice sheet follows cycles that match the frequency patterns found in the underground radio transmissions. This level of coordination across different types of phenomena suggests a controlling intelligence that can manage multiple complex systems simultaneously. We're not looking at random geological processes or isolated technological artifacts. We're looking at evidence of systematic management of continental-scale operations that require technological capabilities far beyond anything currently available to human civilization. The scope of these operations becomes clear when we examine the energy requirements involved. The radio signals alone would require massive power sources to penetrate thousands of miles of rock and emerge with sufficient strength to be detected on the surface. The geothermal systems maintaining the subglacial water networks operate with efficiency levels that exceed the best human engineering. The coordination of volcanic activity across hundreds of underground sites would require control systems that can manage geological processes on a scale we can barely comprehend. Where is this energy coming from? What power sources could sustain such massive operations for the extended periods that geological evidence suggests these systems have been active? Human technology requires enormous infrastructure and constant maintenance to achieve far simpler tasks. Yet Antarctica appears to host technological systems that have been operating autonomously for potentially millions of years without any visible surface infrastructure or maintenance operations. The answer might lie in discoveries that push the boundaries of theoretical physics even further. Recent research into Antarctica's magnetic anomalies has detected evidence of what physicists are reluctantly calling exotic energy signatures. These are electromagnetic patterns that don't match any known natural or artificial energy sources. They suggest power generation methods that operate according to principles that current science cannot explain. These exotic energy signatures are particularly intense in areas where the subglacial pyramid formations are located. The correlation suggests that the geometric structures beneath the ice might not be passive formations created by natural processes, but active technological components that serve as focal points for energy generation and distribution systems. If this interpretation is correct, it would mean that Antarctica hosts a technological infrastructure of staggering sophistication, hidden beneath miles of ice and operating according to engineering principles that represent advances far beyond current human capability. The infrastructure appears to be self-maintaining, self-regulating, and capable of coordinating complex operations across continental distances without any apparent external control or supervision. But who built such systems? When were they constructed? And perhaps most importantly, are they still under active management? Or are we witnessing the autonomous operation of abandoned technology that continues to function according to its original programming? The evidence suggests that whatever created Antarctica's hidden infrastructure possessed technological capabilities that allowed them to reshape geological processes, manage climate systems, and coordinate biological ecosystems on a planetary scale. The rapid transformation of Antarctica from temperate continent to frozen wasteland, might not have been a natural climate change event, but an engineered transformation designed to preserve and protect technological systems that required specific environmental conditions to continue operating. This interpretation would explain the precision with which Antarctica's climate change occurred, the systematic nature of the geological formations hidden beneath the ice, and the coordinated behavior of the continent's current anomalous phenomena. It would also explain why governments and research institutions are so determined to control access to Antarctica and suppress discoveries that might reveal the true nature of what lies beneath the ice. The implications of such a revelation would indeed threaten global stability. If Antarctica contains evidence of technological capabilities that far exceed human achievement, it would fundamentally challenge our understanding of Earth's history, our place in the universe, and our assumptions about the development of intelligence and civilization. It would raise questions about who possessed such advanced capabilities, where they came from, and what happened to them. More disturbing still, it would raise questions about whether these systems are truly abandoned, or whether they remain under the control of intelligences that continue to operate from hidden locations beneath Antarctica's ice. The evolving complexity of the radio signals, the coordinated responses to current research activities, and the systematic changes occurring across the continent in 2025 suggests that whatever created Antarctica's hidden infrastructure might still be actively managing its operations. As we stand at the threshold of 2025, with research teams making discoveries that challenge the very foundations of our understanding, we find ourselves confronting possibilities that previous generations would have dismissed as impossible. Antarctica isn't just a frozen continent at the bottom of the world. It appears to be a carefully engineered environment that conceals technological capabilities and operational systems that represent the pinnacle of achievement by intelligences whose origins and intentions remain completely unknown to us. The question we must ask ourselves is not whether we're ready to confront these possibilities, but whether we have any choice in the matter. The evidence is mounting, the discoveries are accelerating, and the phenomena are becoming too obvious to ignore or suppress. Antarctica is revealing its secrets whether we're prepared for them or not, and those secrets appear to be far more profound and disturbing than anything we could have imagined. But the technological mysteries of Antarctica represent only the beginning of a much darker reality that researchers are beginning to uncover. As we dig deeper into the continent's secrets, we encounter evidence that suggests the hidden infrastructure isn't just abandoned technology waiting to be discovered. It appears to be actively responding to human presence, adapting its operations, and perhaps even studying those who dare to investigate its mysteries. Consider what happened during the most recent drilling operations at Little Dome C. The European Beyond Epica team expected to encounter the usual challenges of Antarctic drilling, equipment failures due to extreme cold, and the standard technical difficulties of penetrating miles of ancient ice. What they didn't expect was for their equipment to start receiving data transmissions from sources located beneath the drilling site. The transmissions began shortly after the drill reached the 2,500-meter depth mark, right around the time they were penetrating ice layers that formed over 1 million years ago. At first, researchers assumed they were detecting interference from their own electronic equipment or perhaps radio signals bouncing off the ice in unexpected ways. But as they analyzed the data more carefully, they realized they were receiving structured information that couldn't be explained by equipment malfunction or atmospheric interference. The signals contained complex mathematical patterns that seemed to be responding to the drilling operations themselves. When the drill advanced, the signal patterns would change in ways that suggested the transmissions were monitoring the drilling progress and adjusting their output accordingly. When drilling stopped for equipment maintenance, the signals would shift to different frequencies and transmission modes, as if whatever was sending them was using the downtime to gather different types of information about the drilling team and their activities. Most disturbing of all, the mathematical patterns in these transmissions began incorporating elements that matched the drilling team's operational schedules, equipment specifications, and even personal information about individual team members that had been stored in their computer systems. The signals weren't just monitoring the drilling operations, they were accessing the team's digital devices and extracting information about their mission, their technology, and the people involved in the project. When the drilling team reported these phenomena to their supervisors, they were immediately ordered to cease operations and evacuate the site. The official explanation was that unusual ice conditions were creating safety hazards that required the drilling project to be suspended indefinitely. But sources within the project reveal that the real reason for the evacuation was far more disturbing. The signals weren't just passively monitoring the drilling operations, they were beginning to influence the team's electronic equipment in ways that suggested active interference with human technology. Drilling equipment began operating according to parameters that hadn't been programmed by the human operators. Computer systems started displaying information that nobody had entered into their databases. Most unsettling of all, the team's communication systems began receiving messages that appeared to be coming from other research stations. But when they tried to verify these communications, they discovered that no other research teams were operating in the area. This pattern of active technological interference has been reported by research teams across Antarctica, but always under circumstances that make official documentation difficult or impossible. Equipment that functions perfectly in other extreme environments fails in specific ways when operating near locations associated with magnetic anomalies or geometric formations. The failures aren't random mechanical breakdowns, they're systematic modifications that suggest the equipment is being reprogrammed by external forces. Navigation systems begin displaying coordinates that lead research teams to locations they hadn't planned to visit. Communication equipment starts transmitting data to receivers that don't appear on any official networks. Most disturbing, personal devices begin accessing information and transmitting it to unknown destinations without any input from their human operators. The researchers who experience these phenomena face a terrible choice. They can report what they're observing and risk being removed from future Antarctic assignments. Their careers effectively ended by being labeled as unreliable observers who succumb to isolation-induced psychological problems. Or they can remain silent, continuing their work while knowing that their presence in Antarctica is being monitored, analyzed, and potentially manipulated by intelligences whose capabilities far exceed human technology. Those who choose to remain silent often report experiences that become progressively more disturbing the longer they stay on the continent. The sense of being observed evolves into more direct forms of contact. Research team members begin experiencing synchronized thoughts, shared memories that couldn't have been communicated through normal human interaction. They report knowing information about their colleagues' personal histories, childhood experiences, and private thoughts that they couldn't have learned through conversation or observation. Even more unsettling, team members begin experiencing memories that don't belong to them at all. Recollections of places they've never visited, people they've never met, and events that occurred before they were born. These aren't vague impressions or dreamlike experiences. They're detailed, specific memories complete with sensory information, emotional content, and contextual details that feel as real as their own personal experiences. The consistency of these reports across different research teams, different time periods, and different locations suggests that Antarctica's hidden intelligences possess capabilities that extend far beyond technological manipulation. They appear to be able to access, modify, and share human consciousness itself, treating individual minds as information systems that can be monitored, analyzed, and influenced according to their needs. This level of capability raises questions that push the boundaries of current scientific understanding. How could any technology access human consciousness directly? What principles of physics or engineering could allow external systems to interface with individual minds across multiple people simultaneously? And perhaps most disturbing, what purposes could such capabilities serve? The answer might lie in patterns that emerge when we examine the long-term effects on researchers who spend extended periods in Antarctica. Many return from their assignments with enhanced cognitive abilities, improved memory capacity, and problem-solving skills that significantly exceed their pre-deployment capabilities. They display increased aptitude in mathematics, physics, and engineering, often developing insights into complex theoretical problems that had previously been beyond their expertise. Initially, these improvements were attributed to the intense focus required for Antarctic research, the collaborative environment of small research teams, and the intellectual stimulation of working on cutting-edge scientific projects. But the enhancements persist long after researchers return to normal environments, and they often continue developing new capabilities years after their Antarctic assignments have ended. More significantly, these enhanced researchers begin displaying knowledge and insights that they couldn't have acquired through their Antarctic work. They develop understanding of theoretical physics concepts that weren't part of their research projects, engineering principles that aren't used in current human technology, and mathematical relationships that haven't been discovered by mainstream science. When these researchers publish papers or present findings based on their enhance, they propose theories that are initially dismissed by THED capabilities. Their work consistently pushes the boundaries of human knowledge in directions that seem to anticipate future scientific developments, their predictions. The pattern suggests that Antarctica's hidden intelligences on or decades later, when technology advances enough to testancing human cognitive capabilities in ways that advance scientific community, only to be proven correct years just monitoring human research activities. They're actively and scientific understanding along specific trajectories. The researchers who return from Antarctica with enhanced abilities aren't just benefiting from their experiences. They're serving as conduits for information and insights that originate from sources far beyond human knowledge. This interpretation would explain why governments and research institutions are so determined to control access to Antarctica while simultaneously continuing to send research teams to the continent. They're aware that exposure to Antarctica's hidden systems enhances human capabilities, but they want to control who receives these enhancements and how the resulting knowledge is used. The selection criteria for Antarctic research assignments aren't based solely on scientific qualifications or technical expertise. Researchers undergo psychological evaluations, security clearances, and assessment procedures that seem designed to identify individuals with specific cognitive characteristics and personality traits. The selection process appears to be choosing people who are most likely to benefit from exposure to Antarctica's consciousness enhancement systems while remaining loyal to institutional control structures. This control over recent decades. Many of the breakthrough discoveries that have revolutionized Field's de-exposure program would explain the gradual advancement of human technology like computing, telecommunications, and materials. Science have been made by researchers who spent time in Antarctica early in their careers. The timing suggests that wouldn't have been available through normal human Antarctic experiences, provided access to knowledge and insights, research, and development processes. But if Antarctica's hidden systems are actively enhancing human capabilities and guiding technological development, what are such enormous resources in advancing human civilization? Their ultimate objectives? Why would non-human intelligences invest in improving human knowledge and technological capabilities? The answer might be, what do they hope to achieve by gradually more disturbing than we want to consider? The evidence suggests that humanity isn't just being prepared for something, gradually enhanced and techno-observed or studied by Antarctica's hidden intelligences. We are logically advanced according to a carefully planned schedule that serves purposes we don't understand. The timing of recent discoveries and technological breakthroughs isn't random. The development of quantum computing, artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and space exploration technologies has accelerated dramatically over the past several decades, following trajectories that seem designed to achieve specific milestones within predetermined timeframes. These technological advances are bringing humanity to a point where we possess capabilities that previous generations would have considered impossible. We're developing the ability to manipulate matter at the atomic level, create artificial intelligence systems that exceed human cognitive capabilities, modify genetic code to enhance biological functions, and travel to other planets. We're approaching technological capabilities that begin to match what we've observed in Antarctica's hidden systems. This convergence isn't coincidental. The evidence suggests that humanity is being guided toward technological capabilities that will allow us to interface more directly with Antarctica's hidden infrastructure. We're being prepared to serve as active participants in whatever operations these systems are designed to perform, rather than passive subjects being observed and studied from a distance. The implications are staggering. If this interpretation is correct, human civilization isn't developing according to natural evolutionary processes. We're following a carefully managed advancement program designed to transform us into something capable of operating within technological and consciousness frameworks that far exceed our current understanding. The recent acceleration of anomalous phenomena in Antarctica might indicate that this preparation phase is nearing completion. The increasingly sophisticated radio signals, the coordinated geological activities, and the systematic behavioral changes across the continent might be signs that Antarctica's hidden systems are preparing to transition from covert guidance operations to direct interaction with human civilization. The question we must confront is whether humanity is ready for such a transition. Are we prepared to discover that our technological development, our scientific advancement, and perhaps even our consciousness itself have been guided by intelligences whose origins, capabilities, and intentions remain completely unknown to us? The evidence emerging from Antarctica in 2025 suggests that we may not have a choice in the matter. The phenomena are becoming too obvious to hide. The technological interference is becoming too widespread to suppress, and the consciousness enhancement effects are becoming too common to explain away as isolated anomalies. We're approaching a threshold where the hidden realities of Antarctica can no longer be contained within classified research programs and institutional secrecy. The continent's secrets are forcing themselves into public awareness, whether governments and research institutions are prepared for disclosure or not. But perhaps the most unsettling aspect of this emerging reality is the possibility that the timing of these revelations isn't accidental either. If Antarctica's hidden intelligences have been managing human development for decades or centuries, they would also control the timing of their own disclosure. The fact that these secrets are becoming impossible to hide might mean that we've reached the point in our development where such disclosure serves their purposes. We might be witnessing not the accidental discovery of hidden truths, but the carefully orchestrated revelation of realities that we've been prepared to confront. The question is whether our preparation has been designed to help us understand and benefit from these revelations, or whether it has been designed to make us more useful tools for purposes we can't comprehend. As we stand on the threshold of discoveries that will fundamentally change our understanding of reality itself, we must prepare ourselves for possibilities that challenge every assumption we've made about human civilization, our place in the universe, and the nature of intelligence and consciousness itself. Antarctica isn't just revealing its secrets, it's revealing truths about ourselves that we may not be ready to accept. The forbidden land at the bottom of our world is about to become the doorway to a reality that extends far beyond anything we've imagined. And once that doorway opens, there will be no going back to the comfortable illusions we've used to make sense of our existence. The real story of Earth is about to begin, and it starts in the frozen depths of Antarctica, where impossible technologies wait to transform everything we thought we knew about who we are and where we came from. The pieces of this cosmic puzzle become even more disturbing when we examine what's been happening to the researchers themselves after they return from their Antarctic assignments. We're not just talking about enhanced cognitive abilities or improved problem-solving skills. We're talking about fundamental changes to human consciousness that persist for years, sometimes decades, after their exposure to whatever lies beneath the ice. Dr. Sarah Mitchell spent 18 months at McMurdo Station between 2019 and 2021, working on what she thought was a routine glaciology project. When she returned to her position at Stanford University, her colleagues immediately noticed changes that went far beyond the typical readjustment period most researchers experience after extended isolation. Her mathematical abilities had improved dramatically, but more unsettling was her apparent ability to solve complex physics problems using approaches months of her return. Dr. Mitchell had published 3 that didn't match any established methodologies. Within 6 papers that revolutionized her field, proposing theoretical frameworks that seemed to come from nowhere, yet proved to be remarkably accurate when tested by other research teams. When questioned about the origins of her insights, she couldn't provide satisfactory explanations. She described experiencing what she called intuitive knowledge that felt like remembering something she had always known, despite having no previous background in the advanced mathematics her papers employed. But Dr. Mitchell's case isn't unique. Over the past decade, dozens of researchers have returned from Antarctica with similar enhancements, and the pattern is becoming impossible to ignore. These individuals consistently outperform their pre-deployment capabilities by margins that cannot be explained by normal learning processes or environmental factors. They display knowledge of principles and concepts that weren't part of their Antarctic research, often in fields completely unrelated to their areas of expertise. What makes these cases particularly disturbing is the uniformity of the enhancement patterns. Different researchers working on different projects at different locations during different time periods all return with remarkably similar types of cognitive improvements. They develop enhanced spatial reasoning abilities, improved pattern recognition skills, and most significantly, an intuitive understanding of complex systems that operate according to principles that current science is only beginning to explore. The institutional response to these enhancements has been carefully managed. Rather than investigating the phenomenon as a potential breakthrough in human cognitive development, research organizations quietly monitor the enhanced individuals while discouraging them from discussing their experiences openly. The researchers are typically reassigned to classified projects where their enhanced abilities can be utilized while ensuring their insights don't reach mainstream scientific communities. This controlled utilization of enhanced researchers suggests that institutions are well aware of Antarctica's consciousness-altering effects and have developed systematic procedures for managing and exploiting these enhancements. The fact that such procedures exist implies that the phenomenon has been occurring for much longer than public records indicate, possibly spanning decades of carefully concealed operations. The scope of this concealment becomes apparent when we examine the career trajectories of prominent scientists and engineers who made breakthrough discoveries over the past 50 years. A disturbing percentage of these individuals spent time in Antarctica early in their careers, often on projects that seem unrelated to their later achievements. The correlation suggests that many of humanity's most significant through exposure to Antarctica's hidden systems. This raises profound technological and scientific advances may have originated from knowledge-acquired questions about the authenticity of human achievement itself. If our greatest scientific breakthroughs have been guided by non-human intelligence, what does that say about human creativity, innovation, and intellectual development? Are we truly developing as a species? Or are we simply implementing technological and conceptual frameworks provided by intelligences that remain hidden beneath Antarctica's ice? The answer might lie in examining the specific nature of the knowledge that enhanced researchers acquire. Rather than receiving complete technological blueprints or finished scientific theories, they seem to develop enhanced intuitive understanding of underlying principles that guide their own research toward breakthrough discoveries. It's as if Antarctica's systems aren't providing answers directly, but are enhancing human capability to find answers that already exist within natural laws and physical principles. This approach would explain why the resulting discoveries appear to be authentically human achievements while still being guided by non-human intelligence. The enhanced researchers aren't receiving alien technology. They're developing improved ability to understand and work with the fundamental principles that govern reality itself. The intelligence behind these enhancements seems to be teaching humanity to discover truths independently, rather than simply providing finished solutions. But teaching implies intention, and intention implies objectives that we don't understand. What purposes are served by gradually enhancing human scientific and technological capabilities? Why would non-human intelligences invest such enormous resources in advancing human civilization? What do they expect to achieve through this carefully managed development program? The timing of recent events suggests that we to these questions. The acceleration might be approaching the answer of anomalous phenomena in Antarctica during 2025, coincides with humanity reaching technological capabilities that begin to approach the sophistication of the systems hidden beneath the ice. We're developing quantum computers, artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and space exploration technologies that manipulate reality. This converge represent fundamental advances in our ability to understand and might indicate that humanity has reached the level of development necessary to participate more directly in whatever operations Antarctica's hidden systems are designed to perform. We might be transitioning from a passive development phase to an active collaboration phase, where human civilization begins working directly with the intelligences that have been nature of the phenomena that researchers are guiding our advancement. Evidence reports focused on passive experiencing in Antarctica. The early for this transition can be found in the changing observation, equipment interference, and consciousness enhancement that occurred without direct interaction. Recent reports describe increasingly direct forms of contact, including structured communications, coordinated activities, and collaborative problem-solving sessions that involve both human researchers and non-human intelligences. These collaborative interactions often take place during periods that researchers describe as lost time, extended periods where they lose conscious awareness of their activities, yet retain detailed memories of complex problem-solving sessions involving mathematical concepts and engineering principles far beyond their normal expertise. During these sessions, they work alongside entities that they describe as incredibly sophisticated, yet completely non-human in their approach to understanding reality. The entities seem to perceive time, space, and causality according to principles that don't match human experience. They approach problems by examining relationships and patterns that extend across vast scales of time and space, considering implications and consequences that human minds typically cannot grasp. They appear to understand reality as an interconnected system, where every component influences every other component, according to mathematical relationships of extraordinary complexity, working reality that fundamentally change their understanding of physics, mathematics, and the nature of existence itself. They return from, with these entities provides human researchers with perspectives on, understand complex systems, and solve problems that previously these collaborative sessions with enhanced ability to perceive patterns seemed beyond human capability. But they also return of a much larger project that operates according to objectives, with a profound sense that human civilization is part and timelines that extend far beyond anything humans have previously considered, gradually developing capabilities that will eventually allow them to participate in. The researchers describe feeling like students being prepared for graduation comprehension. They sense that this preparation has in activities and responsibilities that are currently beyond human being ongoing for much longer than they initially realized, possibly spanning centuries or millennia of carefully managed human development. This long-term perspective would explain many historical mysteries that have puzzled researchers for generations. Sudden leaps in human technological capability, the appearance of advanced mathematical and engineering knowledge in ancient civilizations, and the consistent presence of unexplained phenomena at key moments in human history might all be evidence of ongoing guidance by intelligences whose capabilities far exceed human technology. If this interpretation is correct, then human civilization isn't developing according to natural evolutionary processes. We're following a carefully designed curriculum that has been guiding our advancement towards specific capabilities and understanding. The recent acceleration of technological development, the breakthrough discoveries in multiple scientific fields, and the increasing frequency of anomalous phenomena worldwide might all be signs that this educational program is approaching its completion. The question we must confront is what happens when the curriculum ends? What roles are we being prepared to fill? What responsibilities will we be expected to assume? And perhaps most importantly, what choice will we have in accepting or rejecting these responsibilities once they're revealed to us? The evidence emerging from Antarctica suggests that these questions are about to be answered whether we feel ready or not. The phenomena are becoming too widespread to conceal. The technological interference is becoming too obvious to explain away. And the consciousness enhancement effects are becoming too common to dismiss as isolated anomalies. We're approaching a threshold where the hidden realities that have shaped human civilization will be revealed. And when that happens, every assumption we've made about our place in the universe will be challenged. The comfortable illusions that have allowed us to believe we're alone in the cosmos, that we're developing independently, and that we control our own destiny, are about to be shattered by revelations that will fundamentally redefine what it means to be human. But perhaps the most unsettling aspect of this emerging reality is the growing evidence that we're not just being prepared for revelation. We're being prepared for participation in something that extends far beyond Earth itself. The enhanced researchers who return from Antarctica often describe visions or intuitive understanding of vast projects that span multiple worlds, involve countless civilizations, and operate according to timelines that encompass millions of years. They speak of sensing their role in a cosmic-scale endeavor that involves the development and advancement of intelligent species throughout the galaxy. They describe feeling connected to networks of consciousness that extend across interstellar distances, participating in collaborative efforts that involve civilizations and intelligences they cannot fully comprehend, yet somehow understand at an intuitive level. These experiences suggest that Antarctica's hidden systems aren't just local phenomena operating within Earth's environment. They appear to be components of a much larger infrastructure that spans interstellar distances and coordinates activities across multiple worlds and civilizations. Earth and humanity might be just one small part of a galactic-scale project that involves the development and integration of intelligent species into some kind of cosmic community or collaborative network. If this interpretation is accurate, then the revelations emerging from Antarctica represent far more than the discovery of advanced technology or non-human intelligence on Earth. They represent humanity's introduction to a cosmic civilization that has been guiding our development toward eventual participation in projects and responsibilities that span the galaxy itself. The implications are staggering. Everything we thought we knew about human civilization, our technological development, our scientific achievements, and our future as a species might be just the preliminary stages of preparation for roles and responsibilities in a cosmic community that operates according to principles we can barely imagine. The evidence suggests that this preparation phase is nearing completion, and 2025 might be the year when humanity finally learns the truth about our place in a universe that is far more complex, interconnected, and purposeful than we ever dared to imagine. The forbidden land of Antarctica is about to become the gateway through which we step into a reality that extends beyond our world, beyond our solar system, and into the vast networks of intelligence and purpose that span the galaxy itself. But as we stand on the threshold of these revelations, we must prepare ourselves for the possibility that accepting how we think about ourselves, our civilization, and our responsibility's role in this cosmic community will require fundamental changes into each other and to the larger universe of which we are apparently a small but significant part. The real story of Earth is about to be revealed, and it begins with understanding that Earth itself has always been part of a much larger story that we're finally ready to comprehend and participate in. The question is whether humanity is prepared for the transformation that such participation will require, and whether we're ready to accept responsibilities that extend far beyond the boundaries of our world and into the infinite possibilities of a universe filled with intelligence, purpose, and collaborative endeavors that span the cosmos itself. Transformation that awaits humanity isn't just about accepting the new responsibilities or adapting to cosmic realities. It's about fundamentally altering the nature of human consciousness itself. The researchers returning from Antarctica describe experiences that suggest this transformation has already begun, operating through mechanisms that bypass normal awareness and implement changes at levels of consciousness that most people don't even realize exist.
Whoa.
These changes aren't happening randomly or chaotically. They follow specific patterns that suggest careful orchestration by intelligences that understand researchers describe feeling like their minds are being systematically upgraded human consciousness better than we understand it ourselves. The enhanced, with new capabilities emerging in predetermined sequences that build upon each other towards some ultimate configuration. The upgrade process appears to involve the activation of dormant neural pathways, the enhancement of existing cognitive functions, and the development of entirely new forms of perception that allow direct interface with the technological systems hidden beneath Antarctica's ice. These aren't temporary changes that fade over time. They represent permanent alterations to human brain function that persist and continue developing long after the initial exposure. Leti. The enhanced individuals don't experience. What makes this process particularly unsettling is its subtle, dramatic personality changes or obvious alterations to their behavior that would alert others to their transformation. Instead, they develop improved versions of their existing capabilities, enhanced intuition, and expanded awareness that feels natural and organic rather than artificially imposed. This careful approach to consciousness modification suggests that the importance of maintaining human identity and autonomously managing these enhancements understanding, while gradually expanding human capability. They're not trying for human consciousness into something that can function effectively within frameworks to replace human consciousness with something alien. They're trying to evil that extend far beyond Earth's boundaries. But evolution implies direction, and direction implies destinations that we haven't been told about. Where is this consciousness evolution leading? What form of awareness are we being guided toward? And what will happen to those aspects of human nature that make us uniquely human as we develop capabilities that approach those of our hidden guides? The answer might lie in examining the experiences of researchers who have undergone the most extensive consciousness modifications. These individuals, typically those who have spent multiple years in Antarctica across several deployments, describe developing forms of awareness that transcend normal human perception entirely. They speak of experiencing reality from perspectives that encompass vast scales of time and space simultaneously. They describe perceiving the interconnections between events separated by years or decades, understanding cause and effect relationships that operate across multiple levels of reality, and sensing the underlying patterns that guide the development of complex systems over extended periods. They develop what they describe as systems thinking that allows them to comprehend how individual components contribute to larger wholes that span scales from molecular to galactic. Most remarkably, they report developing the ability to perceive and interact with forms of consciousness that don't operate according to human psychological principles. They describe collaborative relationships with entities that think in mathematical concepts, communicate through shared understanding rather than language, and approach problems by manipulating fundamental forces rather than working with surface phenomena. These advanced consciousness modifications allow the researchers to serve as bridges between human awareness and the non-human intelligences that manage Antarctica's hidden systems. They become translators, interpreting concepts and information that normal human consciousness cannot process while maintaining enough human perspective to communicate these insights to unenhanced individuals. This bridging function appears to be critical to the larger project that's unfolding. The non-human intelligences possess capabilities that far exceed human potential, but they lack the specific perspectives and approaches that make human consciousness valuable for certain ability and intuitive problem types of activities. Human creativity, adapt solving provide capabilities that complement the mathematical precision and systematic thinking of the hidden intelligences. The collaboration between enhanced human consciousness and non-human intelligence creates hybrid thinking systems that combine the best aspects of both forms of awareness. These hybrid systems can address problems and develop solutions that neither human nor non-human intelligence could achieve independently. They represent a new form of collaborative consciousness that transcends the limitations of individual species while preserving the valuable characteristics of each contributing form of awareness. The development of these hybrid consciousness systems might be the ultimate objective of the enhancement program that's been operating through Antarctica's hidden infrastructure. Rather than replacing human consciousness or subordinating it to non-human control, the program appears designed to create collaborative partnerships that expand the problem-solving capabilities of both human and non-human intelligence. The truth we've uncovered beneath Antarctica's ice changes everything. These aren't just scientific anomalies or geological curiosities we're dealing with. We're looking at evidence of intelligences and technologies that have been shaping human development for far longer than we ever imagined, preparing us for roles in a cosmic community that spans the galaxy itself. The consciousness enhancements, the technological guidance, the systematic preparation of our species, it's all been leading to this moment when the hidden realities can no longer be contained. As 2025 unfolds and these revelations force themselves into public awareness, we face a choice that will define humanity's future: embrace our role in this vast cosmic collaboration, or remain trapped in the comfortable illusions that have kept us isolated from our true potential. The transformation has already begun, and there's no going back.